What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to America is on easy mode, and I just found this video. I think the thumbnail was like a country balls like thumbnail, and from what I've done recently, I've done a few country balls style videos. It was the one on gun control and healthcare, and yeah, I've enjoyed them. It's not the same channel, but yeah, I don't know. It's just been something that I've been reacting to recently, and I thought, yeah, I'll react to this as well. Just sort of pop up randomly. I don't know what sort of things it'll go into, but I guess maybe it'll just be like the location and just certain things like that. But yeah, we're going to jump into this, hopefully going to enjoy. Links are in the description to my Patreon if you want to see some more of my reactions. But let's jump into this and see just how this is the case.
The United States of America, perhaps the strongest nation on the planet, and they have a presidential election coming soon, where they will elect the person.
This is 6 years ago, by the way, so this is a long time. Like, this is, yeah, some things may be outdated a little bit, but
rule the country for the next 4 years, and they will fix the country's economy, and they will take down all of its enemies, and they will protect the nation's interests. And this is all possible because the presidential election is the most important thing in how America works, isn't it? This area of the world is one of the most naturally rich in almost everything. The USA has incredible amounts of incredibly cheap food. We all know the stereotypes of the large portions of beige potato products with calorie counts in 6 digits, but that's not far from the truth, and in the grand scheme of things, that's not even a bad thing. The country has over 1.5 million square kilometres of arable land, so much so that the government used to give it away for free. Now let's look at a counterexample. Angola is a country whose horrific decades-long civil war decimated its capability to produce food, and now its capital, Luanda, is the most expensive place in the world.
Really? In Angola? God damn.
By some reports, half a litre of ice cream costs between $17 and $31.
And I guess people don't earn very much money here either, which makes it even crazier. $31 ice cream anywhere is a joke, but in a country where I assume the wage is so much lower as well is horrible to think about.
But how can
this might have changed since, by the way, but
that be? How can this place be the most expensive place in the world to live? Transportation makes food, and for that matter, most things, very expensive. Road and rail connections to Angola are, to say the least, not good. There is a single rail connection to a neighbouring country, and that's to the Democratic Republic of Congo, who wouldn't be your first choice, would they? And that railway doesn't go to Luanda, the capital. Instead, food arrives by sea and air from incredible distances, from China, Portugal and the US. That's how the Angolan Häagen-Dazs gets its price label. The US, however, has huge population centres right on top of where the food is made. And even where they aren't, the transportation costs are almost negligible because of the Mississippi River is the world's longest navigable river, over 3,000 kilometres of it laid right on top of the food-producing areas. Now you may say, but why is this important? And I'll laugh and say, before continuing with the answer. Short distances by sea are very cheap. You may need to pay for fuel or learn how to manipulate the wind, but you don't have to build the sea. The sea is, in essence, free. But do you know what's even cheaper than the sea? Rivers are. They're calmer, easier to navigate, and it's much harder to get lost. And in this network of rivers, Kentucky tobacco, Wisconsin cheese, Iowa corn, and Missouri racism can be exported from the home state and anywhere in the river basin incredibly.
You say Missouri racism?
Cheaply, and with a couple of small adjustments. But wait, there's more. From Nantucket to the Gulf of Mexico, the world's longest series.
Yeah, see, this is what I've seen before. This is the place like where it's kind of like you're in the ocean, but it's also like river because it's like sort of protected, isn't it? It's so weird how that managed to just happen. It's just like geography already didn't think, okay, we've blessed you enough, so we're going to now bless you with this system on the outskirts of the majority of the country, of the East Coast. That, yeah, it's just going to make it even more easy to navigate.
From Mexico, the world's longest series of barrier islands create natural harbours, protecting commerce and life from the worst weather. From Mobile to Long Island, from Houston to Savannah, this network of islands create another inland waterway, all provided by nature. As of 2016, the largest ports in the world may be Chinese, Singaporean or Dutch, but while these countries were spending incredible
Dutch? I don't know, Dutch would be there.
Amounts of their money and time reclaiming land from the sea to build these ports, or in the case of the Dutch, whole provinces. Americans spent that time reading books, building Panamanian canals, inventing the Cheeto and building the nuclear bomb. All of this free capital means that the US can afford the world's largest military. Not that they even need it for defence though. Here the country's geography comes in handy yet again. England's, and later Great Britain's and the UK's, navy was the key to its success, and it could only do so by being an island. So after Great Britain united and land wars with Scotland became somewhat of an anachronism, they turned their attentions elsewhere to other continents, and they opened up trade routes with the rest of the world using force. This strength put England on favourable terms in any trade negotiation with any nation, and the island grew wealthy. Other maritime empires like the Portuguese, the Dutch and the Danish kept outposts all around the world for the very same reason. Ever since England had a navy, the island of Great Britain has never been invaded. For all that I've said about water making transport easy, it also paradoxically makes a perfect barrier to invasion. By the English Channel, the UK remained uninvaded in both world wars, but at a huge cost. The Channel was enough to prevent land invasion, but not enough to immunise the UK against catastrophic bombing of major cities. But just how vulnerable is the US? Land invasion from the south is damn near impossible. The major settlements on both sides being hundreds of kilometres of inhospitable desert from the border. Invasion would be expensive and not very valuable. But what about Canada? They burnt down the White House in the War of 1812, didn't they? In the early 19th century, things were very different. The Louisiana Purchase had only just taken effect, and the US wasn't in complete control of the Mississippi. Canada was also a lot more compact, not having its vulnerable food and energy producing areas dangled over the continent, and Vancouver was barely a twinkle in the eye of Seth Rogen. Today, Canada is spread incredibly thinly. The US's invasion of British Columbia could take out the country's Pacific capabilities in a long weekend. And this isn't even to mention the interdependence of each country's economy. A Canada-US alliance is the best solution for both sides. So if there's no invasion...
Well, they are boys, aren't they? I feel like now they're allies with both sides, so they're protected from both
the
sides.
north, all the...
They're not protected, they're safe from both top and bottom, but then on the coasts as well. They're so far from any real like civilizations or like whatever. It's just like, yeah, they're good, man.
south. All this leaves is an invasion by sea. Yeah, that's not happening. The UK could only dream about this amount of isolation from Europe. The US...
Was that a little picture of Nigel Farage? Oh, I love how he just blinked it for a brief second.
From Europe. The US's navy is today its power. An invulnerable core means that they have the ability to project power way beyond their borders without even worrying about it. In the 21st century, a president can wage a decade-long two-front war to protect the country's interests, and the average citizen doesn't feel a single thing. The fact that the country even has interests in an impoverished, landlocked Asian nation on the other side of the planet is remarkable. The navy is important for keeping the world's trade lanes open. If you want to buy a body pillow from Japan, you can do so without even thinking about it. Regardless of what the American politician says, there is nothing special about the average American citizen. The wealth and strength of the United States comes from its geography. So if we have just seen why the United States is so naturally powerful, we will now see why it would take a monumental effort to screw that up. Kim Jong-un, the supreme leader of North Korea, is a medieval king without the crown. He's supreme commander of the army and he can do anything he wants within the laws of physics except commission a realistic portrait. Contrast the President of the United States, which is a fully elected position decided by the people and has one of the largest electoral bases in the world. There is a system called the US government, which is put into place either deliberately or by accident, and it provides extreme stability. The president has no direct influence over justice, and for a law to be passed needs hundreds of people in two houses to agree before the president has the power of veto, essentially saying, hell no, what are you all thinking, get this crap off my very expensive desk. A veto is favouring the status quo, and is the last of many hurdles a bill will have to pass before being enacted. And as we've seen before, the status quo is actually very favourable towards the USA. But this series of events doesn't have to occur if the president signs something directly into a law themselves, using an executive orders are sort of laws that the president can make directly that don't need the same approval as laws from Congress. As easily as the president can make one, all of those executive orders can be overridden or cancelled completely by the next president if they put their mind to it. And there will be a next president relatively soon because of a little thing called
term limits.
Whether a president does a good or a bad job, they will have to leave office after a maximum of 8 years, meaning the average American will have close to a dozen heads of state in their lifetime. The amount of damage a single person can do to a country this wealthy is absolutely minuscule, especially when the next president can simply erase most of what you've done. But this might not happen if an extremist gets into office, will it? First past the post voting means that every eligible person gets a single vote for a single candidate, and the winner is the person with the most votes, regardless of whether that's 90% or whether that's 10%. One of the problems with first past the post is that when there are multiple parties that appeal to the same type of person, that weakens the position of that side of the debate. So we have strategic voting, where people don't actually vote for their first preference, but instead for an at least they're not the other party. All mathematical models show that this eventually leads to a two-party system in which each party attempts to grab the median voter, while...
Is there any countries where there's more than two parties that actually compete? Because in the UK it's the same. It's two parties that really are realistically going to be in charge. But is there other countries where there are actually three parties that compete? Like, maybe more? I assume not. Maybe it's just human nature to just... It resorts to going for what you prefer over the two favourites or whatever.
Appealing to the respective side of the debate. Now, while this single-dimensional politics does seem to be an inaccurate representation of people's actual opinions and desires, the one thing it does lead to is the most unobjectionable government, the least extreme, and the least likely to overthrow what a country has going for it. And the country that we're talking about has a lot going for it.
Just in case.
Now, just in case there does manage to be an extremist elected to presidency who gets both Congress and the public on their side, and together they all start the day with a healthy bowl of insanity, and they set out to destroy the country piece by piece, and they manage to do significant damage within 8 years, the country has enshrined in its constitution a little jewel designed for moments just like that.
And there we go. God damn, that was a little look into how it works and how blessed the US really is. The Americans are very lucky people. They're bordered to the north and south by weak neighbours and to the east and west by fish. We miss this guy every day. Also, I was really surprised with any of this video. And on American appreciating the Second Amendment. Wait, we really miss this guy. Has he stopped making videos? Oh, this person passed away. Oh man, why he sounded so young? He didn't sound like he sounded young. Oh, he did. That is horrible to. Oh man, this is the greatest video ever made. Oh, what? That has just ruined my whole mood. Damn, that's a shit. That's flipping. Oh man. Well, there we go. This is a really well put together video, and I guess he's made videos like this before. Oh man, that's probably why I've never seen his channel before, because he's 6 years ago and he's passed away. God damn, man. But yeah, this is a little look into why the US is the country it is, and yeah, that's that. But yeah, obviously rest in peace to him, man. That's just made me sad. But yeah, if you want more reactions to his, if there's other videos out there that you want me to check out, let me know, or other channels that are similar. But yeah, until then, like, subscribe, peace.